Welcome back, welcome back. We have our topic panel discussion now, and juggling conventions are held all over the world and are the backbone of the juggling scene. The attendance at a convention can be from anything from a few dozen to a few thousand people, and formats can vary. In today's panel, we welcome 3 of this year's organisers from a diverse range of conventions, where we will take a look what happens behind the scenes of juggling conventions and discuss the concept of run by jugglers for jugglers. Please help me welcome to today's panel Ron Trickett, owner of Lazy Juggler, long-standing service with the UK juggling community and principal organiser of the British Juggling Convention for this year. Next, Peter Beten Jorgensen, a student and teacher of circus and founder of the Circus Roomet and co-principal organiser of the Danish convention this year. And Dekel Azulay, hobbyist juggler and principal organizer of the Israeli Juggling Convention for this year. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us on the show. It's been very exciting. I've had the great pleasure of actually being at all your conventions this year. And we just saw a little video of the volunteers from some of the conventions, and we'll come back and talk about the volunteers a bit later. But Ron, I might just start with you.
Thank you. My voice is not very well, so...
Yeah, okay. You've got a bit of a gruff voice. Okay, so we'll,
Take it easy.
We'll just see how we go. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to, actually, I think maybe we do it down the line. We'll see. Was it too difficult with the mic? We'll see. So Ron, how did you start juggling?
I was about 13 years old. My dad taught me. He was at university in Newcastle. Me and my brother had a competition between ourselves to see who could juggle first.
No, because that was the video. So we're not having video now.
He started going to conventions and then started taking me and my brother as well. So.
Oh, okay. And then how did you start getting involved more in the juggling community?
So in the juggling community, I started going to BJCs and EJCs pretty regularly from 99 Durham. My first European was in Edinburgh in 98. And the more I got into it, the more I realised that I didn't come to the juggling events to just juggle. I came to meet my friends and socialise, and because it requires so much volunteer efforts, that I felt that was where my skills lies more than in the skills of physically juggling. Okay,
so tell us a little bit, because you have you have a business as well. In fact, you have a whole area this year here at the EJC. Tell us about that.
So again, that came from going to events and realising that I actually came to play games with my friends at a juggling convention. And so it went from there, is that I started teaching them and running workshops when I came to the events, which then when I left my last job, I decided that I would have a board game library and board games to sell.
And it's called the Lazy Juggler?
Yes, it's called
Lazy.
Lazy.
Where can people find you if they're interested in playing some board games?
So if you want to play board games, I'll be running some workshops up in the second floor of the top building. And if you want to buy stuff, the trade is on the third floor in that same building.
So you can play and you can buy the games that you play as well.
Yes, that's right.
Fabulous, because that's always fun when you can take something home. And it's good to have something different, I think, to do at the convention, especially if you're training hard.
Yes, no, definitely. And if anyone has questions on how any of the games play, I know how to play most of them. So
fantastic.
Come and say hello.
Yeah. So tell us about the BJC for 2016.
Oh.
It was in Perth. In Scotland?
That's right, yes, it was. It was in Perth, Scotland. We went back to the same venue it had been in 2005, and a group of us decided we wanted to organise it and put it on there.
And how many people were in attendance this year?
So it was quite one, because it was a little bit north for some of the English guests to attend, so we had about 450, 500 people. Not including the public show, which we had a strong representative from the local area. Last time it was there, it had a good reputation. So we're drawing over 200 local attendees to the event, which is quite nice.
Because the BJC moves around every year, doesn't it?
Yes, it's a little bit like the EJC. It's organised by different teams in different areas. So a team forms and says, I want to hold it, and they get a proposal and put it forward at the BJC meeting, and it's voted on if there's more than one, and we go where it gets voted in. So.
And so this makes a difference with participation. You made a reference to that because the convention was a bit north. You had smaller numbers than you perhaps may. What's the biggest BJC that's ever been?
So the biggest BJC was one of the first one in Coventry when it was about 2,500 or 2,200.
Oh, wow.
But
okay.
in recent times, the one where in York in 2000, Anthony Gatto performed and did his training session is one of the biggest in recent times, with over 1,000 people in attendance.
And how did you come in to be involved in organising the convention?
Like I previously said, that's where I saw my skills lying, is getting in the admin side of it, and also the UK rep for the EJA. So 6 years ago, I was like, I want to get involved. I want to get more knowledge and more skills from organising events, and so it started there. I've helped out and run the bars at the BJC for the past few years. I've run the games library as well, so I've slowly picked it up. My ultimate aim and love was wanting to run one, so I've actually done one now, so tick.
And it's, well, from what I saw and what I experienced, it was a really great success. What were some of the challenges that you faced during the convention?
So some of the challenges is one of the hard things is with it being a new team each year is you don't have that learning curve. So you have to go and learn as you're going. Most of it is setting up and knowing the discussions. The advantage of owning my own business is that I have a lot of that knowledge and know that I can challenge. So, and the other thing is it's volunteer-led, and so life's sometimes getting in the way. So yes, knowing the right people to put in the right places at the right time. So yeah, there was a lot of pre-challenges, but the event itself, I purposely did it for Jugglers are very ideas people. So for us as volunteers organising it, we made sure there was a sound venue, we had a parade, we had the public show, but everything else was volunteer-led. So the open stage was run by someone not on the main team who wanted to run it. The same with our Biogiotti and Fight Night. We had a Kaylee that wasn't organised also. So yes, it was there, and there was lots of juggler-orientated, inspired events happening.
And I will come back to that in a moment because I definitely have some comments on the volunteer culture in the UK. Cool. But thank you very much, Ron. I'm going to
thank you very much.
Pass the mic over to Peter. Thank you.
Thanks.
So Peter, how did you start juggling?
I started juggling in preschool, I believe.
Preschool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Figure it out now.
This is why I asked this question. I mean, we get some really fantastic stories.
Yeah, but I didn't actually juggle for a lot of years, and then I went, after high school, I went traveling, and I picked 3 bean bags with me in my bag, and in a park in Vienna I met a guy, and I've never seen him since, so maybe he's actually here. I would love to meet him because he introduced me to the whole thing, and he threw 3 sea legs balls at me and taught me Mills Mess, and this was kind of my introduction to juggling. And then I went hitchhiking around Europe for 5 months, and I did find juggling conventions. I went to an acrobatic conventions, and the first juggling convention was in Skive in Kortrijk in Belgium, actually.
So how then did you get involved more in the juggling community? Because you're quite heavily involved in your local area in Svendborg, where the Danish convention was this year.
Exactly.
And I believe you've got a project running there called the Circus Rummet. Can you just tell us a tiny little bit about that?
Definitely. The Circus Rummet is a project that when I came home from the travel, I figured out I wanted to practice, and in the town where I'm born and raised, it's called Svendborg. Probably some of you know it because of the EJC was there in 2003. But there I wanted a place to practice, and I met other people who wanted the same thing, and we met and we made an association, and this is actually the project I've been working on the last 2 years, non-stop. I coordinating it and organizing it. All the boring stuff. I did all the boring stuff, finding money and talk with the local government and
I was going to say, though, you
organizing.
must have had a short break because you did organize the Danish Juggling Convention. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened in Svendborg this January?
Yes, the Danish Juggling Convention, as in the BJC, it moves every year. So every year there is a new group and a new city organizing the thing. And in 2016 there were nobody that wanted to host it, and then my colleague and partner Anton, who was the main coordinator and organizer of the convention, said that we would do it, and he persuaded us and me to do it, and so we did it. And luckily, Anton is really well known in the traditions of the Danish Juggling Convention. There is a lot of traditions apparently that I didn't know of because I only attended it once before. But since I knew the area really well and a lot of things, we decided to do it. And yeah, it ended up being the biggest Danish juggling convention ever, I think.
How many attendees did you have this year?
No more than 160, but in Denmark that was okay, according to...
Yeah, and I actually spoke to a couple of girls who had traveled all the way from Mexico to be part of the convention there as well. So.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of Irish people who created a wonderful atmosphere as well. And
yes, it was quite international for, I think, for what you normally would expect from a Danish convention.
And it was a really small town, so yeah, definitely a success.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, thank you. Dekel, how did you start juggling?
I started at primary school, just a weekly workshop of juggling. You can pick whatever you want, but I picked the juggling just because I saw some guy doing poi.
In primary school, they run it as a program at school, or is it just in the playground? Or
No, it's a program of the school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you then start getting more involved in the juggling community?
Actually, after the primary school, I almost quit juggling, like I don't know, forever. But then some guy came to me at the next school I went to and said, "Aren't you doing Diabolo? You're not Dekel?" And I said, "Yeah, but how do you know that?" I heard you're doing Diabolo, and we have some meeting with like 4 or 5 people here at your city. So if you want to come. And that's my first meeting with the juggling community because it really gave me the push to continue and practice and go to different jugglers meeting around the country. And then, of course, to the juggling convention.
Yes. And the IJC is, because it's by far the biggest, you have smaller conventions in Israel sometimes?
Yeah, like mini juggling conventions, usually more like professional, and we do a lot of workshops, and it's shorter, and smaller also.
But the IJC is actually the second largest convention in the world.
Yeah, but it's a bit different.
It is a bit different. Tell us about because the guys have just talked about every year their conventions in the UK and in Denmark and in many other countries have new organisers and shift around. What's different about the Israeli juggling convention?
I think there are a lot of differences after I heard.
Yeah, please share them with us.
First of all, it's always held in the same place and in the same date, like the Passover holiday. So it's a week that everybody is off and in holiday. So the convention is a lot more family convention because a lot of young jugglers, they want to come and they come with the whole family because it's in a national park. And that's why it's pretty much it's so big. But I would say that the jugglers are, if you look only at the proper jugglers, it wouldn't be the biggest juggling convention.
Yeah, it felt very big. Yeah. But it was quite a different atmosphere having the families, actually. Like you absolutely had the jugglers and the focus was on juggling, but it was very different atmosphere to have entire families.
Yeah, it's really a different atmosphere. It's really warm and family. Everybody cook together and do big meals, and the shows are already a lot different than AGC because people are not all jugglers. So you get both, like as a performer, you get the real audience and the juggling audience atmosphere. And it's also different, the convention, that it's held by the same team every year. And what you say about the learning curve, then for me, getting into the shoes of organizing this convention was pretty easy, just because everybody know his job, and they just do it, and you just need to coordinate everything and always focus on the small stuff you need to change, and it really kind of good.
And this year was
working
very
machine.
special, though, wasn't it? Because this is your first year, but the previous organizer had been organizing for 8 years. Is that right?
I think more, like
More? Maybe even
yeah,
more?
since 2002, I think, something
Yes.
like 11 years. Or
And, but he was actually there to mentor you through this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, it was just like a, I don't know, on-job training, like do whatever you need, and then if you have a question, you can come. So I pretty much organized it, but it was really easy to get into it, because every question I had, it was there to answer, and every conflict that you get with, I don't know, the security guys or any other contractor that you have, it was really easy to deal with, and that's pretty much about the training. It started like 3 or 4 months before, about how you do the meetings with all the organizers, and how you coordinate the stuff that it's pretty easy on the phone, and then on site it was really one-on-one session every day, running one after the other.
Yes, well, it appeared quite flawless. I mean, I haven't been, this was my first Israeli juggling convention, but it seemed to run all very smoothly. Every time I saw you, you were very calm and collected. In fact, all three of you were very calm and collected. But yes, and we are talking about run by jugglers for jugglers. It seems like a very self-explanatory title, but how important are volunteers? Really, I mean, Ron, you alluded earlier to the different roles, because what I noticed is everywhere I've been this year, there's definitely been a big volunteer culture. The UK, though, I really felt we're so on it. Everyone was wanting to pitch in and help out. I'm not sure if it's always been like that, or if it's.
I think it's something that's built over a few years. Is that there must have been a dip 10 or so years ago where the culture in the society changed, where people foresaw it was a service they were paying to come and get, and we've tried to keep that as a British public going. So we started issuing badges and creating the focus and putting the core beliefs on. Actually, that is what the British Juggling Convention is. It is for you, by you, as in for jugglers, by jugglers. So it was definitely something we were keen to promote and try and get new. With it being in Scotland as well, we were hoping to get new attendees for the first time in the Scottish area, and so they were aware of the culture as well.
Mm-hmm. And did you succeed in that? Did you take statistics on these type of things? No.
It felt like it felt like we always had enough volunteers throughout the week. So
because you have many returning BJC, very long-standing volunteers,
Yeah.
or people attendees that come
Yeah,
every
they're-
year. Very much like the Constantino situation at the BJC.
Yes, we have one person who I believe has been to every single British Juggling Convention, and next year celebrates his 30th. So he's
30 or so conventions
Yeah,
in a
and there's
row.
there's people here that have been to 20 plus BJCs in a row. So.
And thanks, Ron. And Peter, you had to. It sounded like you and Anton had to sort of throw the convention together a bit more at the last minute. How did you go with volunteers, and what was your experience?
We stood up in the common area and we shouted that we needed help often, and then a lot of people came. No, no, but that was practically what we did, and we had some hands as well. We had a lot of help from local friends who never attended juggling conventions before, but also, of course, a lot of returning friends who had been there before, and then one thing about the Danish juggling convention is there's always food included. So, and we had a fantastic job made by actually the father of Anton, who helped with preparing the food. But that was also a part of the. When you go there, you know that you will help more or less. So we had baking workshops for the bread in the mornings, and we had on the workshops scheme there was also like preparing food workshops. So
Yes.
people were they knew, they were told or somehow that it would make it a lot easier, and it's a small convention as well, so we can deal without hundreds of volunteers. We just stand up and shout, we need help.
Yes. And
Something like this.
thanks, Peter. And Dekel, you've already sort of talked about that most people have their jobs. It's an ongoing thing, but you still have volunteers at you still have people that come in and help at the last minute.
We have the core organizers, like the organizer for each show, and also a volunteers organizer, which basically takes the data from the website where everybody can checkbox the thing they want to help in, and it's usually the same people that want to help in I don't know, the shirt counter desk t-shirts, or I don't know, just really you can come to every convention and just see the same faces doing the same jobs and loving it. So it's pretty easy. Sometimes when you have new ideas, like last year we had a lot of shows, like 5 shows. It's more than usual. Usually we have only an open stage, a public show, and like the big gala. So when you need help, you just go and shout, or you just write on the board, and usually there's somebody to do that. That's what I like about these conventions.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but right now is when I want to give a plug for all of the viewers out there, the EJC participants. Now is your opportunity to volunteer, to be a part of creating this amazing event that we are a part of. You can go down to the info tent, even if it's just 1 hour of your time this week for anything that you might be interested in or anything that they need. Head down to the info tent, talk to the lovely volunteers there that will be signing you up for something, and yeah, be a part of creating. We're a lot about consuming these days. Let's create together. Thank you very much, guys, for coming, and thank you for your wonderful service this year in the global juggling community. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, and stay with us next for our next juggling personality interview with Richard Hartnell from the US. Hey,